All right, everybody, we are in South Ozone Park, Queens. Got my buddy Jimmy with me today. Yeah. What's going on? All right, so we're gonna walk down this way. We're going to a place actually where I filmed before, in a place in a slew of characters who I've spoken about before. We're going to Robert's Lounge over here on Lefferts Boulevard. 11445 Lefferts Boulevard. Let's look at this 9/11 memorial archwork. Look at that. That is pretty cool, right?
That's tight.
Wow.
Geometrical.
Yeah, that's nice. You see a lot of that in New York City. Right, so we're around the corner from Robert's Lounge right now. And we're gonna go there. So like I did with my Sammy the Bull Tallies video, much like that, we are going to not only go to the front of the place, but we're gonna go inside. We're gonna eat inside. We're gonna see what it looks like today. We're gonna tell you if the food sucks. I think the food should be fine. I mean, another thing I like too is like these old lions. Like a lot of these old houses, they have like these lions in New York City. I don't know if that's like a New York thing or whatever it is, but pretty cool. So yeah, we're going to Robert's Lounge, of course, the home base of Jimmy Burke and the Jimmy Burke crew, operating under the umbrella of the Lucchese crime family. Of course, documented in the film Goodfellas. And if you guys watch one of my videos that I did a little while back, I'll put the screen cap up now. I talk about when they came to Robert's Lounge in June of 1980 to dig up the premises in order to find bodies in the basement, not only in the basement, but in the backyard. Intel coming, of course, from Henry Hill. Let's get out of the way here. Let's cross over. Intel coming, of course, from Henry Hill, who stated that in the basement and in the yard held the remains of some bodies. One of them being Dominic Remo Cersani, who Jimmy Burke apparently buried under the bocce ball court in the backyard. If you believe what Henry Hill says in Goodfellas about a character by the name of Michael Spider Gianca, played by Michael Imperioli, who Joe Pesci kills in the movie, Tommy DeSimone's character, he would have also been buried in that basement as well. Now, at one time, I believe Hill was also saying back then that, according to him, he believed that, hold on one second, we have to go to the right, right? Yeah. We have to go to the right. So he believed that also Martin Krugman was actually in the basement of Robert's Lounge. Of course, Martin Krugman, for men only, hairdresser, bookie, part-time coke dealer out of Robert's Lounge. Obviously a guy who lost his life, portrayed as Maury in the movie. Yeah, so just a number of things that were being reported at that time. Intel all coming from, of course, Henry. All right. And when they would come in here in June of 1980, days prior to that, authorities were pretty upset because they were witnessing Jimmy Burke actually digging up the sidewalk and repaving it and hanging out, doing shit. And actually, at one point, he had his own tractor out front because he heard they were going to maybe search the premises, and he was like, yeah, well, here's the tractor. I'll go down 30 feet if you want me to. You know, and he would actually tell Jimmy Breslin, who he had a pretty good relationship with, he would tell Breslin that he was fixing the sidewalk because the people that obtained the property now were getting fines, and he said he also had to fix a dry well, something to do with the toilets. So nonetheless, the authorities didn't take too kind to Jimmy Burke digging around just days before they were going to come here. And in early June, I believe June 6th, they would come here and they would start digging up the premises of what you're looking at here, where it says karaoke. They would start digging up the premises of Robert's Lounge. And first in the basement, then days later in the yard. right, so we're passing it, and then we're gonna pass it, and then we'll come back.
What is this, MTA across the street?
You know, I don't know. Guys, look at that big building across the street. Of course, I've been here before, but I don't think I showed you that building last time. And if you guys ever heard about Jimmy Burke owning a dress factory, it would actually be where this yoga, you see Yoga, Shakti Yoga, that was actually his dress factory that he owned right next door. This one-story building right here. That's where that would have been. So as I was just saying, in June of 1980, when they would come here and they would have warrants to search the premises here, they would go down in the basement, they would rip up the tiles in the basement. There's pictures available of this online, I'll post them up now. There's the picture, the original picture of Burke sitting outside, and then there's pictures of him in the basement also when they're ripping up the floor. As I mentioned before, days after, they would also rip up the yard and try to see if there was any bodies buried there. And I speak in more detail about this in my upload, which details the whole search of this property. Now, some of the things that were happening here is, many of you know, this is the former site of the Roberts Lounge. You know, being a close proximity to JFK Airport, this would be a place where these guys would, you know, have anything that they would hijack out of the airport, they would hold here in the basement, whether it be clothes, whether it be truck hijacking of cigarettes, whether it be meat, I mean, a bevy of things, dresses. Also, this place would also be a place where they would have card games, apparently, down in the basement, and you would have people coming here doing all types of things, running numbers out of here, loan sharking. As I mentioned before, Martin Krugman was said to deal a little coke out of here. Stephen Parnell Stacks Evers, Stephen Stacks, was said to sometimes sing and play guitar in this place. I did an upload about Stephen Stacks. His home where he was murdered is actually not too far from here. It's very close to here. So if you haven't seen that, I'll put an image of that up. You can see what that looks like. You know, it's hard to talk about this stuff because everybody knows Goodfellas, right? Everybody knows Henry Hill, Jimmy Burke. But so it's really the point of this upload is, once again, to do kind of what I did with that Sammy the Bull video, was to go inside here, which is now called the GT Kingston Restaurant. It's a Jamaican restaurant. So my goal here is not so much to talk about the history, because a lot of you guys know, I mean, can be somewhat repetitive, but, you know, let's go in there. Let's see exactly what it looks like. Let's try to eat. Let's see what's going on inside. Now, we're going to look down the alleyway and see, because we can get a glimpse of the yard down there. So that would lead to the yard. And up here, if you guys notice, there's some like old writing. You see that old writing, Jimmy, up there? Yeah. That's pretty cool. It says goods, something goods. That's probably goes back to like the 50s or the 40s. Apparently, Burke obtained this bar sometime in the late 60s, and he took it over to make it Roberts, or Roberts Lounge.
Looks like it says shoes.
Shoes, yeah? Okay, so something about shoes, goods. Actually found a little article from the news in like 1973 of restaurants that were getting cited for like food violations. And what came up? This place right here. Roberts. Jimmy Burke's spot over here at 11445 Lefferts. And just a quick thing before we go in there, guys. Now, if you see the property next to it, this is connected as one building. Now, the property next to it at 11447, that was also owned by Burke, and the basements were conjoined, so when they finally did dig into the basement looking for bodies, they were basically digging under this whole property here. So guys, GT Kingston Restaurant and Bar, free delivery, catering, 718-848-6006, 11445 Lefferts Boulevard. Let's go inside. Let's see what is going on in there today. The former spot of Jimmy Burke's Roberts Lounge. So just a disclaimer before we get into the former site of Jimmy Burke's Roberts Lounge. I will be narrating over the next segment of me being inside the establishment, and that is due to the fact that the establishment is playing a lot of music. And as much as I would love to share that great music with you, unfortunately, I will get hit with numerous copyright strikes, and I will not be able to make any ad revenue on this, so it will not be monetized. So I will be narrating over the segment that you're about to watch of me being inside Robert's Lounge, because YouTube still hasn't figured out a way to differentiate between people simply absorbing music from the atmosphere that they're filming and intentionally playing music. What's going on, YouTube? You still can't figure that out? So just a fair warning. Now enjoy. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are inside the former site of Jimmy Burke's Robert's Lounge. And one of the things I'm noticing right away is a lot of this old wooden trim. I mean, a lot of this looks original, to the establishment, at least back when Jimmy Burke had it, maybe even before that. You're going to see that around this entire establishment as I am filming. You will see it on the back and the wooden doors. You will see it on some of the bar trim if you look up top. And you'll see it right there by the ATM machine. Here we have another view. So guys, this is where the Lufthansa heist would have been planned. This is where a numerous cast of interesting characters would have been coming in and out of. Guys like Jimmy Burke, of course, Tommy DeSimone, Henry Hill, Angelo Seppi, Stax Edwards, Joseph Manry, Vinny Asaro. The list goes on of characters that would have frequented this establishment, that would have been in and out of this establishment, running all types of illegal operations. There you see some more of that old wood trim on the back there. Let's see. Now we see some of these old, we're going to get a little closer look at these old wooden doors and some of the signage. That kitchen door looks ancient. So some of this stuff has not been changed. Look up top, you see that wood trim. And we're going to go to the bottom of the bar, and you're going to see some wood trim under the bar there that we're looking at right now. That is very old. So a lot of this stuff seems to me to date back to the time when Jimmy Burke and these guys were running this bar. That's the assumption that I'm getting. Being in a lot of bars and a lot of establishments in New York City, you can really usually tell what's old. Now let's get to the food. So first up on the food, we have this excellent jerk pork, which was, like I said, it was excellent. We have some of these plantain fries, plantain chips, which are similar to tostones. If you've had tostones, they're just shaped like fries. I would say this jerk pork, I'm going to give it I'll give it a 9. It was really good. It was tender. The jerk seasoning was amazing. Everything about it was amazing. The plantain chips, they get a 10. So now we have the curry chicken, also pretty good. It was chicken on the bone with some potatoes and some curry seasoning. And then we have this roti. And I got to say, this roti was maybe the biggest, heaviest roti I've ever had in my life. This roti is probably like a pound. I'm not even exaggerating. Curry chicken was good. I'll give it like a 7.5. I think that the real star was this jerk pork. Absolutely delicious. Definitely recommend. So now we're going to go back to the back of the bar. You guys are going to get another view of this place here. Bob Marley on the wall, a couple of Bob Marley frames. And you see these old doors. I really like these old bronze men and women symbols here. I don't know how old those are. Those look ancient too. Not going in the bathroom. Here you see an old stool. And you see behind the bar some of that wood accent again. Here's an up close of the wood accents on the wall. Here's a still bar shot. And here's a still shot of the kitchen. So you guys, think about all the things that might have went down here. Think about if there were bodies buried under where I'm standing right now. Me and my friend Jimmy basically had the place to ourselves. A gentleman actually came in. Actually, this guy, I talked to him. And I said, hey, are you from the neighborhood? He said, no, I'm just here for a friend's wedding, actually. And I was like, it would be cool. I just wanted to know if you're from the neighborhood, maybe you knew some of the history of this place. And he goes, I do know, actually, Robert's Lounge. I'm like, yeah. So we started talking, and he gave me a fist pump. He was surprised that I knew. Turns out he was just in town to go to his friend's wedding. His friend lives, within the area, so he just came in to get a beer and just, soak up the atmosphere, a little bit of the history as we were doing. So now we're going to head outside, and I got another something special for you. All right, guys, we just finished up in there. I got some footage. I couldn't film the whole time. And as I mentioned in the video, I had to narrate over that because of the music. YouTube will demonetize me for any music. But I got to say, the food was pretty damn good, man.
was actually.
What do you think,
pulled
Jimbo?
pork.
What do you think?
Fire.
Fire. See, there you go. That's a ringing endorsement. Fire. So the food was really good. I just want to show you guys something real quick, as I mentioned before we got here. And I'll put up a photo again from the news at that time, because when they came to dig up the backyard, they actually used this alleyway. You can see the photos. And I don't know. What do you think? Should we try to go back there? What do you think? You mean, it's a bad idea? A good idea?
I think it's a good idea.
Maybe we could try to get some backyard footage.
The
Where-
one inside said that they don't have one, but it looks like they do.
Yeah. Where Jimmy Burke, where according to Henry Hill, Jimmy Burke buried Dominic Remo Cersani. And every time they play bocce ball, Tommy DeSimone, who's Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, and Jimmy Burke would play bocce ball. And Jimmy Burke would say, "Hey, how you doing, Remo?" To the dead body under the bocce. That's one of those Henry Hill tales. I don't know. You want to give it a shot? You want to see if we can get back there?
Let's do it.
All right, let's see. I'm going to point the camera down, and then we'll see what happens. All right. That is the backyard of Jimmy Burke's Roberts Lounge. So as I mentioned, in early June, police would come back here and dig up this property looking for bodies. There used to be a bocce ball court back here. So we're being bad. I think maybe we'll get out of here. What do you think? So you guys got to see inside Roberts Lounge, and you got to see the backyard. Look at that. Were there bodies back here at one point buried by Jimmy Burke? Only Jimmy Burke and a few other people know. And most of those people are no longer with us. So let's head out. There's a lot of garbage back there. It kind of stinks, right, Jim?
Stinks.
Let's walk down this alleyway. Let's get out of here.
Top.
Who knows what the fuck that song was? I probably got to cut that too.
That's an obscene
All right,
level.
guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video so far. Maybe we'll take a walk. We'll walk around South Ozone Park, walk off some of that food, because I am full, man. We gotta burn some calories after that shit. So you guys get a nice view of South Ozone Park. If you've read anything, if I know a lot of people that watch my channel are into the mob history. If you guys know about Queens, well, you know about Ozone Park, places like Ozone Park, Howard Beach. I mean, Ozone Park is like one of the epicenters of the mob at one time, in like the Italian mob of the United States goes, at least. So here we go, Ozone Park. And what do we got here? Linden Boulevard. We're on Linden and Lefferts. All right, let's see what's going on over here. Got some restaurants, islands, bar, lounge, a tattoo studio, a nail salon, and a laundromat on the corner there. PS 100 up on the corner. Medina Halal. So
Nice.
a lot of you know, West Indian, Muslim, Jamaican, stuff like that here now. South Ozone Park. All right, guys. I think we're gonna call it quits. I think this was a good video. You guys got to see inside Robert's Lounge, which, if you guys have been paying attention, no one on YouTube has done that. Actually taking you inside. It's one thing to go outside an establishment. It's another thing to go inside. So this is be the second one of I think a series I'll continue. As I mentioned before, we did the Tally's Bar, which is now known as Like Cafe over in Brooklyn. Sammy the Bull's Tally's, where 2 people were murdered inside, and in the early 2000s they were saying it was haunted. That was actually a legitimate news story. And now, what have we added to the collection? Robert's Lounge. We went inside, we ate the food, we looked around, felt the vibes, and I took you guys along for the ride. So listen, like, subscribe, tell anybody who you think would be interested about New York City crime spot. South Ozone Park, guys. This was great. Jimmy, thanks for joining me, bro.
Anytime.
You have yourself a nice day too.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right, guys. Enjoy. Have a great week. Oh, and get yourself some Boar's Head, all right?